What is up, folks? Jorge Anito here. Thanks for stopping by and welcome back. Welcome back to 2-Minute Tutorials, a segment that should more accurately be titled Not a 2-Minute Tutorial. However, the point of this segment is to offer videos that are short, sweet, brief, and to the point. In order to do that, I gotta quit blabbering away so much. The purpose of today's video is to discuss DPS to top. Yes, that famous side still, diagonal palm shift. We all have our own variation and things like that. Yeah, so, when you usually do that, the card is stolen out and controlled to the bottom. And I've always thought, years ago, I remember thinking that it would be so cool to get this card controlled to the top rather than the bottom, or palmed off. And, it's something that I've worked at. There is the Russian Genius. He does offer a tutorial on something like this, so I would encourage you to check out what he has to say. But yeah, for the longest time, I just thought, it's really not possible, and I fiddle around with it and try to do it. It's just really difficult, but over the years, I have been able to develop a few ways, and actually 2 ways of covering the action of side still, putting the card on top, right in front of the spectator's face. So let's go ahead and get into it right now. The action is this. A card is placed somewhere in the middle. It doesn't matter where. It's pushed in square. I always dribble to show I'm not holding any brakes. And wouldn't you know, in that action it's controlled to the top. We'll do it again from a face-up position this time. Push it in square. Dribble. Yeah, winds up on top. The best thing to use when you're doing this type of action, borderless cards, right? So the ones I'm using is the Madison Private Reserve Strangers. We might do a deck review on these sometime. Now the Chateaus, they do have the border, so these ones here are borderless. Very non-conventional, non-traditional, borderless design. Cool to see, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to use a bordered card. For that, we use Daniel Snyder playing cards. Yes, I want to review these sometime too. So, the action, we're all familiar with this action, right? You push it in at this corner, right? The inner corner, which would be my left corner. And I always kind of keep these 3 fingers together, and I keep this index kind of off to the side. That way when I push it in, I can grab the deck in such a way as I can display this. So if I'm doing a card that is face up, there's a window there. That way they could eventually see the change happen, like that. I probably flashed, but I think you know what I'm saying. So we're familiar with this action, this diagonal palm shift. Traditionally a DPS looks something like that, right? Where you take it, then you palmed it off. And what we've done over the years, everybody has their own version of this. Orbit Brown does something called the orbit control, where he kind of, I don't know, it's basically all the same thing, but we have our own touches on it. Madison has probably my favorite, and that's the squeeze control, where he really squeezes that, and it really cuts away a lot of the element of the flash. So, but yeah, today, instead of taking this thing to the bottom, we want to take it to the top. So let's get a better angle. So yeah, what's happening? You're pushing in the card in such a way that it looks like you're pushing it in flush, but you're creating a side jog right there. And your index finger and pinky are going to be the ones that's doing all the work right here, right? They're going to take it right to the top. So instead of going to the bottom, work on getting it to the top. So yeah, like I said, just the index and pinky, that's what's doing everything. Whoops, I lost the jog. Instead of going to the bottom, try taking it to the top. Now, instead of doing like a Herman pass type thing where it's like from here, trying to get it up in there, try to come at it at an angle, right? So try to work it in like that, going in with this corner right here up in the side, and that that really helps facilitate that card going into place up there on the top. It's really as simple as just really working with your index and pinky. I'm sure that you're familiar with taking this thing to the bottom. Just the same action, except work it to the top. I mean, it's really kind of simple. Now here's the problem with that. Whenever we do that, this is what happens. Very easy to flash. So the purpose of today's video is how do we cover this action right here. Now that we have a rudimentary knowledge of getting this card to the top, the one cover I want to offer is the dribble right here. And so basically what I'm doing, I have this card stolen out to the side and I'm having it just kind of hang out there. And I'm taking these cards, so this is what it would look like. My hand is completely covering. I can't really take away my hand, but, well, hold on, maybe if I can. So it's just right there. It's just waiting to go on top. But I can't do that because it'll flash, especially with cards that are bordered. So it's just going to have to hang out there for a second. That gives me just enough time to kind of... The action that it's supposed to look like or emulate is this. Card gets pushed in, and you're taking the cards up just so you can dribble them in your hands to show that you're not holding a break. That's what, that's what I say. That's what I use it for. So the card is stripped out. It's hanging out here. It's waiting to go on top. So you just take the cards like this. Make sure to have these three fingers closed because you run the risk of it flashing right here. Actually, I always leave this one open, but just make sure these ones are closed. I do. And just start the dribble. And right when you're coming in for that top, or about to end the dribble, you just push that card on top. And it may sound kind of crazy, but it's true. Just try it. Push it in, still it out, let it hang out there, and now you're just in this position. Just dribble the cards in your hand. When you get to the end, you push the card on top. It's pretty simple. So one subtlety is once you get this card pushed in, I immediately grab this deck and come up with it. And that is it aids the stripping out action, but it also prepares you for this dribble action. Like I said, it's supposed to look like you're pushing a card in, coming up so you can dribble and cleanly show you're not holding a break. So you push the card in, dribble, push the card on top. There it is. A visual presentation of this would be a card face up, right? And I'm just doing the same thing there. That's the number one cover I like to use for the DPS to top. Let's talk about the second. Okay, so the second idea for cover would be the card goes in, push square, and you just take the deck and sit it down on the table. That's it. That's just enough cover for you to get that card on top. So what's happening? If you haven't already guessed, the card gets pushed in, and almost immediately, really quick, I place this card, take it out, and then as I'm going on top, I kind of do this necktie, as if this is what it's supposed to emulate. This is what I should say first. The card gets pushed in, deck gets placed on the table. It's very quick, it's fast, but that's the one thing that I could see probably hanging people up, so it takes a bit of practice. So you push it in, you steal the card out, and as you're placing it on top, you're doing this necktie. And for those of you who don't know what a necktie is, that is aiming the edge of the deck toward the necktie position, basically toward the eyes of the spectator, so they can't see this action right here, this card going on top. So as I'm necktying, and the purpose of bringing it up like this, the pseudo reason is I'm just taking the deck and placing it down. So I'm pushing the card in, and I'm just taking the deck and placing it down. That's it. That's the justification for this action. right? Card goes in, it's placed down. That's it, okay? The real reason is so that they don't see this flash, but if you do it fast enough, you know, there it is. So we'll do it from a face-up position so you can see what it looks like from here. Again, I'm using bordered cards because that always helps in tutorials like these. But there it is. There it is. And like I said, it's just a thing that's as simple as practice. Practice makes perfect. You know, it took me a long time to kind of get it to where it is. I'm not saying that what I'm offering is perfect by any means. But, you know, I'm constantly working at it. And, you know, it's all about just refining and, you know, we shoot for perfection and hopefully land somewhere nearby. I think Madison said that. Actually, I know he did. Anyway, there you guys have it. That's my 2 cover ideas for the DPS to top. Hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy your weekend. Jorge Nito here, signing off. Be blessed.